Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news, and the love affair between Christian Horner and Toto Wolff does seem to continue. Christian Horner saying that after the events of last season, it does seem like it's very easy to pull the chain of Toto Wolff, and saying that he reckons that Red Bull really got to Toto last season and how they exactly match up in terms of how good they are at their respective roles. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that one. This is the article then that Christian Horner talks about not just the Toto Wolff stuff, but also thought was kind of interesting what the public perception of him seems to be and how he deals with it at times. He says, look, if the public perception bothers you, what people think about you online, you shouldn't do the job. He said, look, my job is to do the best I can for the team and the people that I represent. If you look at someone like Sir Alex Ferguson, legendary Aberdeen, Manchester United manager for many years with incredible successes, I doubt he ever worried about what perception of other managers were or what people thought about him in the sport. My priority and my prerogative is to do the best I can for the people I represent, whether it's the promoter, the FIA, whether that's getting the right shareholders or sponsors with the media. It's doing the best we can with the tools we have. So very diplomatic response there from Horner. This was the more spicy stuff though, right? So he's talked about Toto Wolff. They of course have had a relationship that's gone on for quite some time. It probably came to a real fall last season, right? 2021, like there was some serious vitriol between the two teams, but also the two of them individually. He says, look, it's not personal in any way. And you've got to realize that Horner here, he loves just stirring the pot, right? This guy, he's built for this. He's built different when it comes to this. Horner and Helmut Marko, they know what they're doing at times just to rile people up and get things working. And he's saying to Toto here, like, look, I got you good last season. I made him super angry. And I guess Horner was pretty smug sitting at home thinking of what he'd been able to achieve and getting Toto Wolff kind of, usually he's pretty stoic. Last season was not the case, of course. Toto is Toto. He's done a phenomenal job with Mercedes. He has come into the sport from a very different background to me. He's very much from a financial background. It's very easy to pull his chain and you can see it. Sometimes it affects him. So of course when you're competing, and last year was so intense, and of course it was the first time he'd ever been in that situation, effectively saying that before that it had all just been too easy for Mercedes. It's always interesting to see how people react, right? So saying like, look, he was trying to spice things up, right, and make him react and get him a bit frustrated and angry and everything, and it did seem to work. And when they're smashing headphones and so on, you can see that you got to them. Asked if he thought he was the better team boss than Wolff, he said, yeah, it's not for me to judge, that's on the media. I'm focused on what I'm doing. He's focused on his team, but yeah, it's easy to pull his chain. He's smashing headphones, of course, as he did back in it was the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix last year at Jeddah, right? You can see that you got to them. This, of course, the famous gif. I believe this is when it was the Verstappen Hamilton thing on the final DRS straight in Jeddah. The end of the season, Verstappen was leading, but he'd deemed to have taken a position unfairly, I think at turn 1 a few laps earlier. The FIA said he had to give the position back. He wanted to do so in such a way where Hamilton would be ahead going into the DRS zone, therefore Verstappen would get the DRS and be able to get him back on the straight. And realistically, you can't try and give a position back and then just immediately take it back after the next corner. There's got to be something that the FIA thinks about that. But Hamilton, of course, realised what he was doing, tried to slow down, and then Verstappen was like, I'm not having this, tried to slow down a bit more, and then eventually Hamilton goes into the back of him, gets a little bit of front wing damage. Eventually it turns out to not be too bad and he can go on to win the race regardless. But yeah, Toto Wolff, of course, smashed a headset, rest in peace the Bose headphones as a result of that. And I'm sure Toto Wolff, even despite losing the race, was seeing this and thinking, yeah, I got him good over this entire season. So yeah, very easy to pull his chain. It's not personal anyway, but it's just words from Horner. You guys know how this works. Just to mention this before we close out the video, I thought you guys might find kind of interesting. I have a very hard time believing this is accurate, but people have gone through and tried to analyze who the fastest driver ever was. Looking at data, I'm guessing that what they're trying to do here is iron out any differences between cars, differences in periods of time, and different tracks that they raced on, like quali pace, race pace. It must be incredibly difficult to actually try and come to a conclusion here. And it might not really be possible to do this. I'll leave the article for you guys linked down below, but it might not be possible to do this between multiple eras. It might be possible within one particular era between Hamilton and Verstappen, say, or Alonso, to say that they're very similar in pace. Hamilton being technically the fastest, I guess, Rosberg, Leclerc, even Kovalainen and Jarno Trulli are making go on this list here, and Vettel as well is down here. Now, apparently, the delta on a lap-by-lap basis from Hamilton and below to Schumacher and Senna is just massive, right? I don't exactly have a hard time believing that Senna and Schumacher could well be at the top of this list. If you look at the rankings on the left, they might make a fair bit of sense. But for Senna to be, 3/10 of a lap quicker than Hamilton doesn't really seem realistic. But, still, I thought it was an interesting rankings that they've tried to do across time, albeit it's it's always going to be impossible to actually make these perfectly accurate. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.